Welcome to my first 2028 primary video, so let's begin. For the first primary in South Carolina, I actually think Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, will be able to narrowly win here against all the other candidates. I think Whitmer does quite well, the governor of Maryland, but still narrowly loses to Beshear. He does get a lot of African American support. Shapiro gets 21%, and then Newsom gets the same margin. This does help Andy Beshear quite a lot, but now we can move on to Nevada. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, will get a lot of support from being a neighboring state. I think he probably gets around this margin of 36%. Then Shapiro 25. A bit of a hot take. I do believe AOC would get around 20% or 22% because of the progressive vote, and then Whitmer gets the rest. Bear in mind, I'm not putting Whitmer 5% because of the fact that the Democrat Party have to get at least 15% to get some delegates. And now for New Hampshire, not sure if it's gonna be at the start that they're gonna have their primary or at the end. Either way, it doesn't really affect who's gonna be the winner in my opinion. I think Shapiro should, not easily, but he should win here by around probably like 30%, and then very closely followed by Gretchen Whitmer and Governor Gavin Newsom just behind him, and then AOC just wins the rest. And lastly, for the final state before Super Tuesday in Michigan, the home state of Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she should easily win here. Probably could even crack 45. Yeah, I think she cracks there. Then after that, I think Gavin Newsom probably gets 22. Then following in third place, probably Shapiro, not that much though. And finally, AOC just barely gets, yeah, so that she gets some votes. And now for Super Tuesday, we got a lot of states to go through. So first of all, Alabama. This has a lot of African American voters, and that's where it's going to be very tough for anyone to win. I think it's basically a toss between Andy Beshear, Whitmer. We could see maybe someone like John Ossoff or Raphael Warnock or someone else run, and that really could make it interesting, but I don't think they run. I think Whitmer is the most likely candidate to run. It's going to be close, but I'm going to give narrow victory to Andy Beshear in Alabama, of course. Probably going to... how much? Do I really think he gets that? Yeah, I'm going to leave it as a narrow Andy Beshear win because it's the South. After that, we got American Samoa, so I wouldn't be surprised if some billionaire won here. And I don't have J.B. Pritzker here because there's so many candidates from the Rust Belt. I doubt he runs, but who knows. Still, I'm going to guess to go with the California governor, Gavin Newsom, so I'm going to put him winning here, all those delegates. And now for, Arkansas, southern state, so this is a state that Andy Beshear would do quite well in. I actually think he narrowly wins, but probably where I think he still has momentum. Then Josh Shapiro, not as much of a progressive, probably does quite good. And then Gavin Newsom just gets the remained. And now for Gavin Newsom's home state of California. So this is where I think Newsom would really start to get a lot of support into his campaign and momentum. I think he cracks 40 easily, not 50 by the way. He cracks 40 easily. And then after that, Josh Shapiro probably at 23%, while for third place, I'm gonna say, I actually think AOC probably cracks 20 because of the fact that she's a progressive, and California usually quite a progressive state, but still she doesn't win it, of course. And then the remainder goes to Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Colorado's another state primary, I should say, that I do believe Gavin Newsom would do quite well, and wouldn't be surprised if we could see like a surprise from AOC winning here. I don't think she will. I know the progressive movement would really rally behind her, but I don't think she's gonna win it. Still, I do think Shapiro probably gets that, and then the remainder goes to Gretchen Whitmer. Now for Iowa, it's tough to make a call because of Gretchen Whitmer. Maybe Whitmer and Shapiro split the vote, but I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be narrow yet again, but I think Shapiro narrowly wins in Iowa, and Newsom probably comes in third place. Yeah, he's not the best for the Rust Belt, as you can see. And for a big white state for Maine, can I give this as a Shapiro victory? Probably around that margin. And then Gavin Newsom. I mean, that's the issue for Democrats, is that Gavin Newsom's is basically everyone's second choice. So that's why he's quite consistent at being like in the 20s or 30 points. Then Whitmer, and then AOC. And now after that, we got Massachusetts, another state that progressives do quite well at. But I think Shapiro, his charisma is enough for him to narrowly win here, even though I could see Whitmer also doing quite well here. I think AOC probably, I think, cracks 25. Well, Whitmer, even though she could do it, but I think, Newsom yet again, just in the sidelines, getting 20% easily. And now for Minnesota. So Minnesota, this is a state that Gretchen Whitmer, she's gonna do quite well in those like lean D, likely D states, in my opinion, like in the Rust Belt especially. And I think she probably cracks 36. Josh Shapiro probably gets 28. He's probably better for more like center left Democrats. And then Gavin Newsom probably does bad. Does he do worse than AOC? I actually don't know it, but there's enough progressives to give some delegates to AOC here. And now to North Carolina. So North Carolina, this is probably one of the make or break areas for Andy Beshear. I think Shapiro probably does quite well. I'm not being maybe a bit less. I'm guessing probably 34. Whitmer, I think she doesn't crack 15 though. So let me see. I'm gonna put Andy Beshear at probably like 20% here. Newsom probably does as well. And I'm gonna, Westmore, of course. Gonna give the rest to Westmore and Andy Beshear. Yeah, I think that's for North Carolina. I think Westmore would take some of the voters that would have gone to Andy Beshear, and that does leave Shapiro to barely win the state of North Carolina. And then after that, you got Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I do believe a lot of conservatives, but still some progressive Democrats in there, funnily enough. So maybe AOC could crack. I don't think she would. I think it'd be barely 15. I think this would be very narrow. I could see either Gretchen Whitmer winning or Shapiro winning in Oklahoma, but yet again, Newsom just in the sidelines getting an easy passive 25%. I could see anyone winning here, but I'm gonna go with Shapiro for Oklahoma. And then in Tennessee, I think Andy Beshear, it literally borders Kentucky, so I think he should win here. Probably, I don't know the margin. Margins could vary, but I'm gonna say 1/3 of the vote. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that easily. Then Shapiro yet again doing quite well. Then Gavin Newsom just has this base of the Democratic Party, basically the Goldilocks zone of Democrats, and then Westmore gets the rest. Then Texas, I think this is where you're gonna see Gavin Newsom get even more momentum, because very similar state to California. Probably get some endorsements from Texas Democrats, and I think he wins here at second place. I got no idea though. I'm gonna say Shapiro probably gets 20-ish. Yeah, let's go with 20-ish. Then third place, I'm gonna go with AOC because of Houston and just some progressive areas in the state. After that, Beshear probably does quite good with some conservative Democrats, but I think Gretchen Whitmer gets barely above 15%. So now we can move on to Utah. Utah is kind of hard. It's already quite goofy in general politics, but in primary it's even more interesting. I think Newsom, being from the West Coast, wins here. After that, again, that's the issue for Whitmer and Shapiro, is that they eat each other's voters. So if one of them would drop out, Newsom would lose easily. But it's kind of like Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, for example. And AOC, I think she cracks 16. Oh yeah, this was supposed to be 26. Oops, sorry about that. Anyway, there we go. So yeah, like I said, Newsom does win there, of course. For the last two states, Vermont, this shouldn't be a surprise that I do think AOC, this is probably the most likely primary for her to win. I think Bernie Sanders is going to campaign for her and basically going to give her the state. Gavin Newsom, yet again, in the sidelines. And then Shapiro in third place, getting the rest. Yep. So yeah, that's pretty good. And now for Virginia, basically the make or break state for Andy Beshear, and I don't see him winning here. I think Shapiro's gonna get a lot of Virginia Democrats to vote for him, or make some concessions or ambassador spots, who knows. But I think Gavin Newsom comes second. Then Westmore, Maryland, is quite close to his home state, and then Beshear gets fourth, I think. Yeah, and yeah, I think that's Super Tuesday, quite done. And you can see that it's basically Newsom, Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer, and AOC as the main four candidates. And I think at this point, Andy Beshear and Westmore would drop out. After this, we got, let me see, the primary, Hawaii, a coastal state. Not a surprise that Gavin Newsom would win here. The margin could be anywhere, it just depends how things are going in the economy and stuff. But he should get like 50% of the delegates. Whitmer probably does quite well, but not enough. And then AOC just gets the remainder. While for Democrats abroad, this could be an area that AOC could win because of progressives being, I think abroad are more progressive, but still, Shapiro, he's very well versed and quite charismatic, and I think he does enough to win that. Second place, I think it's going to be a three-way tie between Gavin Newsom, AOC, and Gretchen Whitmer. I think it's going to be close, but I think Shapiro wins that. After that, we got Georgia. Georgia, with Andy Bashir not in the race, it's gonna be big who he endorses. He might not endorse anyone. That does happen quite often, but I'm gonna guess Shapiro probably gonna get some support from Southern Democrats. After Bashir drops out, then Gavin Newsom, he has his coalition, so he gets probably like 35%, and the rest goes to Gretchen Whitmer. After that, we got Mississippi, and Mississippi, that's the issue because of the fact that Shapiro and Whitmer kind of split each other off. Yeah, I think he gets 37%. Whitmer probably gets 22%. But I think Gavin Newsom barely holds on and wins Mississippi. I know there's a bit of a hot take, but I think, yet again, Whitmer and Shapiro just have the same coalition and they split off. Newsom barely wins Mississippi, and now for the Northern Mariana Islands, let me check. Yeah, it's Mariana Islands, or I should say caucus. There's a problem with these islands. You're really not sure what's going to happen, but I'm gonna say that somehow Newsom wins all 6 because of the previous voting history. And now for Washington. So Washington, not a surprise here that Gavin Newsom, the governor of a coastal state, would easily win here. I'm guessing probably not a majority, but probably a 45. Yeah, probably 45. Shapiro probably gets second, 34%. And I'm gonna actually, Washington, they're quite progressive, so AOC gets almost 20%. And now for Arizona, another border state that borders California, so you shouldn't be surprised that Gavin Newsom will get 45, or almost majority of the vote here. Shapiro does quite well, but not enough to win, and then Whitmer probably gets 16, and the remainder goes to AOC because of some progressive areas. And Florida they had an issue in 2024, so they didn't basically do it. I think in 2020 did it at this point during Arizona, so I'm just gonna say that Florida probably goes at this time, with it being an anti-socialist coalition state that Trump won easily because of that. Shapiro probably wins. He's probably the most anti-socialist candidate. Then Gavin Newsom 30%, and the rest probably go to Gretchen Whitmer. I think I'm going to lower the margin a bit for Shapiro because it's going to be a bit split off because of Whitmer, so I'm going to do that. I think narrowly Shapiro wins because of the fact there's a lot of anti-socialist voters in Florida. And now we can move on to the other states. For Illinois, my home state, a liberal state, and I think that technically is it likely D state? Anyway, Gretchen Whitmer, I think, would win here easily. I wouldn't be surprised if Pritzker endorses her above Josh Shapiro. He's not as liked by Democrats and politicians, even though he's liked by voters, which is interesting. Anyway, we got Gavin Newsom yet again by that margin, 28%, which is good for him, but yeah, Whitmer wins here. And in Kansas, I think this could go to anyone except AOC, really, of course, but it's one of the states that, because of the fact that Shapiro and Whitmer split each other's voters, that means Gavin Newsom barely wins here. After that, we got Ohio, the last one, in March 19th. Just making sure I got everything right. Ohio, Shapiro, he's very close to this state. His home state borders this, so 37% would make sense. Whitmer also borders the state, so that's why she does quite well as well. And then Gavin Newsom just gets the rest at 30%. Back to the prairie states, North Dakota, it's kind of suck. I hope that either Whitmer or Shapiro doesn't run because it's going to make it easier for Newsom to win. So you got Whitmer, I'm probably going to say 30%, and then Newsom just gets the rest. AOC, I don't think she's going to do well enough in these states. And now we're done with March, and now we go to April to AK, the make or break for AOC. But before we go to New York, we got to go to Connecticut. I could see Whitmer winning here, gets 36% of the vote, but Shapiro, he probably does quite well, but not enough. And then the rest just goes to Gavin Newsom, who has his coalition of semi-progressives, or kind of like the Goldilocks zone, the Democrat primary, but not in the general primary, if you get what I'm saying. And now New York, I think AOC would get at least 15%. I think she could actually get more, though. First place easily goes to Gavin Newsom, 35%. After that, we got Shapiro in second place, probably 30%. And then Gretchen Whitmer, 17%, just getting the remainder of the vote. So yeah, after this point, I do think AOC would drop out and basically leave Shapiro, Whitmer, and Gavin Newsom to fend off by themselves. Even though, yeah, there is still some races. She's gonna drop out after the 2nd of April, but anyway, in Rhode Island, I think Shapiro does fit the state quite well, so he won here by 38.10. Gretchen Whitmer gets second. No, she gets third, and then Newsom just gets the remainder. Of course, Wisconsin, I think Whitmer would win the state. It wouldn't be by a humongous margin because of Shapiro still being in the race, but I think she gets probably 38, and then Shapiro gets 33. And then let me go here. Gavin Newsom, yet again, he doesn't do quite well in the Rust Belt. As you can see, he hasn't won any of these states. So yeah, Whitmer wins there, and now AOC would drop out. The Alaska caucus, we're almost there. So Alaska, don't be surprised. Gavin Newsom would win here again. It wouldn't be by a majority, but Whitmer comes second, and then Shapiro gets 21%. After that, we got, what was it, Wyoming. Wyoming, I got no idea, to be honest, but I'm going to say that Gavin Newsom barely wins. I mean, yet again, just Whitmer and Shapiro just split each other's voters. So 25. No, it's not. I won 25 though, so that makes it easier. Yeah. After that, we got, let me see, we got Pennsylvania primary, which is a very key primary for Shapiro here, because if he loses the primary in Pennsylvania, he drops out immediately. But I do believe he would win here with a humongous margin because it's his home state. And he's quite popular, so maybe, yeah, I'm gonna actually go with 48 at least. Maybe I could even see more. Newsom just has his base on the side, and then Whitmer gets 21. I do believe because of the fact that Shapiro is more stubborn than Whitmer. I think we know this because Fetterman has said that he's more stubborn, more a politician, and I do trust Fetterman on that, on his views on Shapiro. So I think, even though Whitmer, if Shapiro wasn't running, she would win the nomination as a whole. I think Shapiro ruins it for her. Whitmer could still just stick it out to just, as revenge against Shapiro, but I believe that she would just drop out to make sure that someone that is an actual atomic bomb would not win the nomination. But yeah, Whitmer drops out and then just leaves Shapiro and Newsom. And then we can go to the Puerto Rico primary, which there's a lot of Latinos, of course, here, and I think Gavin Newsom would easily win Latino voters compared to someone like Shapiro. I think he probably wins 58. Then Shapiro gets the remainder. After that, we got, let me see, Indiana primary. Not a surprise here that I think Shapiro would win here. How much would it be? Probably like 52 or 55. I'm gonna go 55 though. And then Newsom gets the rest. He won't win any states here, by the way. And then after that, we got Maryland. If Westmore was stick out, he would have won here, but Maryland, I think Shapiro is closer. He's the governor of Pennsylvania, so he gets a big amount of the vote here. So 55, I think, would be another margin in here. Newsom gets the remainder. Ooh, almost forgot Jesus. And back to Nebraska and the Prairie States. I could see this going either way, but I'm gonna say Shapiro narrowly wins here. Barely though. Could see it going either for Shapiro or Newsom. After that, we got West Virginia. West Virginia, Shapiro would easily win here. Wouldn't be surprised if it's 70 or something like that. You know what? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 70, so I'm going to leave it like that because of the hate Democrats like Newsom. We got Kentucky. Shapiro, I think, would win here. I'm going to go with 55 and 42 and 44, I should say, for Newsom. And back to Oregon, a coastal state. Not surprised here that the governor of California would win here easily, and just almost 70%. Could be even more, to be honest with you. Idaho, the final May caucus. Of course, Gavin Newsom would win here. Probably gonna say 60% because Shapiro is kind of very good at getting moderates. But after that, we got the Washington D.C. primary. Wait, I forgot about Louisiana. I think if we just go to my previous map, no worries. I actually had Louisiana as Newsom by 37. Thankfully, I have a backup map, so that's why I don't do it on the spot. So yeah, that makes sense. Sorry about that. This one was in March, but yeah. Anyway, just making sure I don't have any more issues. So I was saying, Gavin Newsom has already been to the Capitol, and it's not even 2025 yet, so I think he has the connections. Compared to Shapiro, who probably did burn some connections when he rejected being Kamala's VP. I think that might actually come back to sting him in the future. After that, we got DC. We got Montana. It's not a coastal state, but it's getting close to that state. I think Shapiro would not do as well here. So Newsom wins this one. And after that, we got, New Jersey. This will be very close because it is a coastal state on the East Coast, but Shapiro is literally next door. So probably gets 54, just a majority, of course. And then Newsom gets the rest. Now for Delaware, basically around this time. Imagine if Biden runs again. I'm just bluffing. At this point, Shapiro would win here, 52% of the vote. Wouldn't be surprised if Biden actually endorses Shapiro, though. We will see, though. And let me see. We got New Mexico now. Ooh. And then Guam and Virgin Islands after that. New Mexico, a lot of Latino voters. That's going to help Gavin Newsom a lot, in my opinion. I think he does quite well with Latino voters. Then we got Shapiro. Yet again, just behind him. And I had South Dakota, but I just forgot Missouri. Missouri was but just before. Yeah, it was another March 23 one. Sorry about that. But no worries. Gavin Newsom won here by 40. And then Whitmer just, basically splitting the votes between the Whitmer and Shapiro voters. And Gavin Newsom won here. And now for South Dakota. So South Dakota, I'm going to give this as a victory to Shapiro. Probably 57 and Newsom. And then we got Guam, which I think Newsom does quite well at. He doesn't get all the votes and delegates, but I think he does enough to get that. And the U.S. Virgin Islands, what I think maybe could get every single one, but I'm going to be moderate and just put it 83% and 16% for Shapiro. And then the super delegates, I think Gavin Newsom would probably get, I'm going to say 2/3 of the delegates. The remainder go to Shapiro. And as you can see, Gavin Newsom has 1,800 delegates, which is an issue because he wouldn't get a majority of the delegates. So this would mean we would have a contested primary, and that would mean some shady deals, and who knows what happened. Maybe we'll see Newsom pick Whitmer or Shapiro. But anyway, I think at the moment, Gavin Newsom is on track to win the 2028 Democratic primary and defeat the other candidates. Let me know what your map looks like. Feel free to leave a like, join the Discord and the channel membership, and have a good rest of your day.